What's up, everyone? Today we are talking all about goals. What is it? How to set it? And what should you actually be setting it about? My name is Carrie Marshall, and I'm a master certified coach over at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching. And I help people go after those big, audacious goals and help them make that their new reality. So let's jump right in today and talk about goals. So, as a goal coach, I help people set goals, go after goals, and of course, accomplish those big goals that they've always thought that they wanted to have. So let's start at the basics. What is a goal? Now, I went and looked up what a goal was because I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. Now, one of the definitions of a goal is the end towards which effort is directed. Now, I really like this definition because there's one word in there that means the most to me: effort. Goals need effort in order to get accomplished. That's just how it is, how it's set up. A goal is usually something that you've never accomplished, or maybe you did in the past and you want to get back there, but it's something that you don't presently have in your life. It can be a money goal, it can be a relationship. We're going to kind of get into the actual types of goals that you can set in just a minute. But what we want to know is that that definition of the goal is the end toward which effort is directed. Now, I'm going to kind of take that definition and tweak it just a little bit so that it makes a little bit more sense for us. Now, when we talk about the end, we're talking about a desired result. That's what we're trying to get to, is a desired result that we want to achieve. And so in order to get to that goal, we're going to talk about the effort that it takes to get the desired result. So as I'm talking about goals, I have a lot of people that come and say, I don't like goals. I don't like to set goals. Goals aren't for me. Well, all of those are just beliefs about yourself or about goals. And we want to kind of break through them because, like I said, goals aren't about becoming like this big fancy person or anything. Maybe that is a goal that you have. Awesome. But oftentimes people kind of do this goal judgment. They kind of judge their goals against somebody else's goals instead of just staying in their own lane and deciding, what do I want to accomplish? What is the desired result that I am wanting in my life? And that's what's really important. Goals help us gain experience. This is one of the best ways that you can gain experience in your life, is by actually setting goals that matter to you. So let me give you an example. I had one of my clients come to me and they wanted to sell their business. Now, he'd grown a really big business, but he wanted to sell it. He was ready. It was a startup, he grew it, and now he was ready to sell it. Well, he'd never done that before. And so he wanted to make sure that his mindset was in the right space as he was going to sell this to a larger company. Now, the experience that he got by setting this goal of selling the company was something that he could have never experienced anywhere else. He had to go through the experience, set the goal to sell the company in order to have this kind of experience that would have never been happening had he not set the goal. So goals offer us experiences as we go after them. Goals also help us create continual personal growth. Think about a personal goal that you have, whether it's about relationships, health, business, it doesn't matter what it is. All the way through goals, you're going to be learning, changing, growing yourself. And so that's one of the most beneficial things about goals, is that your personal growth that you have as you go after the goal is really what's important. I had another client that really wanted to get a certain car. And so he was so looking forward to getting this car. And then when he got it, he called me and said, "You're never going to believe what's happening." And I said, I think I know what it is, but tell me anyways. And he goes, "I'm sitting here in my amazing car and I love it. It smells new. Just got out off the trailer. It's amazing." And he said, "But it's not as great as I thought it was going to be." And I kind of said, "Yeah, I thought so." And he said, "But I'm so grateful for all of the work that I did in order to be the owner of this car." He's like, "It wasn't the car at all. It's the person that I became through growth and going after my goal. And now sitting here, I realize that the car was just part of it, but I'm so grateful for who I became in order to get it." And that is the beauty of goals, is that we never know what experiences, or the growth that we're going to have as we go after a goal. And so it's important for us to understand that we set the goal, we set the desired result that we want to get, but it's actually the journey to get there that has the most growth and opportunity. So now, don't get me wrong, the car's amazing. He loves it. But like I said, it wasn't the car, it was the growth that came in order to be the person that could afford the car and then actually own the car that meant so much to my client. So the next thing is that we have different versions of ourselves. If you think back to like 5 years ago, you're a different version of yourself. Especially the last 5 years, we've learned a lot about ourselves through different opportunities and experiences that collectively we have all had. And so think back, like 5 years ago, you were a different person. Well, if you look to the future, 5 years from now, you're going to be a different version of yourself as well. And setting goals helps us to intentionally almost kind of pinpoint where we want to be and then create those experiences to become that next type of version of ourselves. And so as we talk about goals and how important they are, I just want to offer that, like we said, we're going to hit and we're going to set a desired result, but most of the time it's those experiences, the personal growth, and the different versions of ourselves that are really going to be the most impactful to us. Now, there's no such thing, I say, as stagnation. There is either growing or there is shrinking. Stagnation is something that we've almost told ourselves is like, oh, I'm just kind of waiting. I'm stagnated. Oh, I'm just kind of hanging out here for a minute. But that could never be true about you and your personal growth. You're either growing or you're shrinking. Now, I had one client that came to me, and when I kind of mentioned this, she said, that sounds exhausting. Now, I want to kind of say that growth is not pushing and hustling and doing all of that. Growth can actually be this slow, beautiful process, and it doesn't have to be growth in business. Let's say that you have a business goal. Well, maybe you do want your growth to be there, but growth can also be personal. It can be taking quiet times. I have one client that actually came to me, and her entire goal was to actually scale back her business and be more present in her life. And so in order for her to grow, she had to do a lot of letting go of things, not having a busy calendar, not overscheduling, and being present for times that maybe even her kids didn't need her, but she wanted to be available. So when we talk about growth, I just want you to kind of check in with yourself and say, yeah, when I hear that there's either growth or there's shrinking, where do I, number one, think I fit in? And number two, how do I actually look at that? Do I see it as a bad thing, or do I once again see it as an opportunity that I can create whatever I want to? So let's kind of shift a little bit right now. Let's talk about what should your goals be about? This is another question that I get a lot on Instagram. If you're not following me, I want you to go over to Instagram and follow me at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching. And I love to interact with my followers over there. Ask me any question you want to in the DMs. But this is one of the questions that I got was, what should I make my goal about? Now, this is a really great question, but you're not going to really like the answer. The answer is you can make goals about anything. And I mean anything. It literally can be about how to get better at playing Mario Kart or anything like that. Like, you really can logistically make goals about anything that you want to. I had a goal once about how long I wanted to hold my breath. Now, why that was important, I don't know. But it felt like it was just something that I wanted to do. It felt interesting. And I thought that maybe I could push myself to see. Now, that goal actually ended up to be really beneficial because I started to swim more and all of these different things started happening. And so holding my breath actually did end up being a beneficial thing in the end. But when I started the goal, I didn't know that. I just wanted to kind of have the desired result of holding my breath for longer than a minute. That's it. And I was able to do it. And I got to a minute 15, and hopefully we'll be able to add on to that. But it was about setting a goal. So let's talk about that goal. The goal is something that I want you to think of as, number one, you don't have it right now. It can be something that you've never had, or it can be something that you had in the past that maybe you want to get back. And so number one is it has to be something that you don't have right now. I can't set a goal to hold my breath for a minute because I can already do it. That's a desired result. And it's almost like, check, it's done. Can you do it right now? That's what I want you to ask yourself. If you can do it right now, or you have it. Once again, if my client made that goal to have a car, that desired car that he wanted, he has it, he can go for another one. But to get his first one, that goal has already been accomplished. So it has to be something that you don't currently have that you're desiring. So that's the second thing. You have to desire to have it. You can't start a business if you don't desire having a business. Don't go and set goals based on other people telling you what to do. You have to really have a desire to have that result in your life. Number three, you have to be able to track it. You have to be able to track, and this can be super easy for something like holding your breath, earning money, but it can also be used in different areas, meaning that if you want to support a relationship or grow a relationship, don't just settle and say, oh, I can't track that. That absolutely can be tracked. And we're going to talk about this later, but we want to set something that you can track. And so the first thing that we're going to do whenever we set the goal is go through those three things. And the next thing that we're going to do is called, where am I now? Now, remember, the goal is a desired result. So the analogy that a lot of people use is it's like you're going on a trip. So if we want to go to Hawaii, we're going to have to chart out how we're going to get there. Are we going to go on a plane? Are we going to go on a barge? Are we going to go on a cruise ship? How are we going to get there? But here's the point that a lot of people miss is we need to know where we are currently. Now, when we talk about goals, oftentimes what happens is that people get in their own way when they're doing the where am I now? So for instance, if I am going back to like wanting to hold my breath, if I can only hold my breath for 3 seconds, first and foremost, number one, I need to have the desired result, right? I want to have a desire to do it, but then I need to say, where am I now? This is where a lot of you are going to want to beat yourself up and judge yourself and feel a lot of shame for where you are. This is not helpful. We want to drop all of that because it's not helping you at all. There's no benefit in you judging and shaming yourself for being where you're at today. So let's say that you have a weight loss goal and you want to get on the scale, you want to take some measurements, you might even want to take some pictures. For a lot of people, this can bring up a lot of shame and embarrassment, and we just have to cut that out. Shame and embarrassment are emotions, and emotions come from your thoughts or beliefs. And so all emotion is being actually created by thoughts that you're having. And so you can decide to drop the shame and embarrassment by just thinking something differently. So anytime that I'm doing this with my clients or myself, the where am I just start by saying like, this is just facts. These are just facts that I'm getting. So if I can hold my breath for 3 seconds, it's just a fact. I set my timer, I go underneath the water, I pop back up in 3 seconds, and I look and I say 3 seconds. Okay, this is a fact. It's just a circumstance. We don't need to have certain thoughts just because it's a circumstance. 3 seconds doesn't mean anything. I could just be like, okay, not a problem. You can get on the scale and think the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if the scale says 100, 150, 180, 200, 250. It doesn't matter. But you are taking that number to instantly mean something about you. And so we're going to do the same thing. If you look at a relationship, let's take a marriage, and you guys haven't connected, you're not having sex, you're not talking. And the only time that you actually do communicate is when it's about like analytics of the schedule. Hey, are you picking up or am I? That's when we need to say, where are we right now? I'm disconnected. We haven't had sex for 2 months. I don't think she cares. I don't know what's going on in her life. Where are you? And then stop right there, write the facts, and then just decide, here I am. Once we know that, once we know where we are, now we can start to map out where we want to be and then how to get there. Those small actionable items that we can do today that can make the biggest difference so that we can actually get to where that desired result is. So when we're talking about goals, I just want to kind of remind us all, goals are the effort toward the desired result. And so when we're thinking about going after a goal, we have to think about what type of effort am I going to put in? You can do goals really quickly and intensely, can have a really, really high concentration, what we call massive action. And you can also go slow. You can take your time. You can, put in when you want to, but it might take you a little bit longer to get there. I suggest that goals are both marathons and sprints all at the same time. We have to do both, especially the bigger the goal is. So I'm helping people with what I call impossible goals. And when we say impossible goals, that means that in your mind at one point in time, this goal was impossible. Now, does that really mean impossible? Like, am I going to be an NBA player? No, that's not happening. I call those not happening. It's not the impossible though, right? Can I go and learn how to dunk a ball? That sounds impossible, but if I put in the effort, I believe I can. And so when we talk about impossible goals, you're going to notice that there's going to be a marathon and a sprint involved. Now, if I want something that's shorter, that's kind of a little bit closer to me, it's not going to take me as long because I'm really, really close to it, right? It would be like going to Hawaii if I'm on Oahu and I want to go to Maui. That's going to take me I think it's like a half-hour flight or something to get there. So we want to make sure that as we look at our goals, it doesn't matter how big or how far you are away from it. What matters is the effort that you're willing to put forth in order to get it. And like I said, it's going to be the marathon, it's going to be long-term, but then there are going to be these intentional places where we are going to sprint. And so we want to set this up. So first off, if you're tracking and you want to do a goal, go ahead and write the goal at the top of a piece of paper or in a notepad. I personally suggest a notepad because I love for my clients to track how they're going. Now, I've been doing this for several years now. I've coached, probably close to 1,000 people now. And I can tell you one thing that's going to happen. If you have kind of those big audacious goals, those impossible goals, I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to get about halfway through it and you're going to think that nothing is working. This is just how it goes. And this is why tracking is so important, because we want to be able to see the effort being put in. We want to be able to see our wins, and we're also wanting to see our losses. Because when you hit about that midway point, so I have some clients that'll coach with me for a year, 2 years, and I know that about June and July for my year clients, when we started in January, that about June and July, it's going to get rough. They're going to start to have this feeling that they're not doing enough, that they've had way too many failures, that it's not working. And it's always at that moment that we can go back and look in the notebook, look in the binder, whatever you decide to use, look in the calendar and see what action has happened, where are the successes, and where are the failures, so that we can use that information to then go and create the next phase. Are we sprinting or are we in the marathon? So when we talk about sprinting, I want to be a little bit more clear about this with goals. When we talk about sprinting, I am not talking about massive action in the wrong direction. Now, massive action means that we're going to do a lot more things than we usually would. But what I see is that people take massive action in the wrong direction because they just think that it's the action that matters. They think sprinting is just going as hard as you can, but we have to make sure that we're going in the right direction. You can't sprint and go the wrong way and still win the race. You have to be sprinting in the right direction. So let me give you an example of this, of what I've seen. I had one client that was really wanting to get a couple more clients. And she came to me and she said, I've made like 7 posts a day for the last 3 weeks. Okay, so has massive action been taken? Yes. Is it maybe in the wrong direction? Absolutely. She was putting all of her eggs in one basket, that social media was the exact way that she was going to get these extra clients. But what she didn't see was that broader picture of, what if clients came in through different ways? What if instead of 7 posts, I did 2 or 3 and then spent the rest of the time going out and making connections and talking to people that are my ideal clients? So that was massive action in the wrong direction. So when we talk about sprints, and we're going to talk about it throughout this podcast, we want to make sure that it's intentional, massive action. And with sprints, you need to make adjustments quickly and efficiently. Now, if you've ever watched the Olympics, you'll notice that occasionally you'll watch the runners make adjustments. They're small, but they are super fast. And that's when we're sprinting. Those are the type of things that we want to do. All right, so goals. The goal is the desired result, which takes effort, that is directed in a certain way towards that desired result. We want to make sure that it's trackable, and we're going to talk about this as the podcast goes on. We also want to make sure that the goal is going towards giving us experience, helping us grow, and helping us become the next version of ourselves that we're so excited to be. We also want to make sure that we are always growing and not stagnating or shrinking from what we want to be. Like I said, stagnation really isn't a thing. It's more about either growth or shrinking. You can set goals about anything. It can be about your business. It can be about your relationship. It can be about your spirituality, your health. It can be about friendships. You can set goals around reading, writing, gaming. It really doesn't matter. Your goal literally can be about anything, but we want to make sure that it's something that you have a desire to do, and that you're looking to actually get some momentum behind, and that you can learn so that you can finally accomplish that. Goals have been so important in my own life and in my clients' lives, because they really have helped all of us see that their possibilities of life are amazing. You have some possibilities in your life that maybe you aren't seeing yet. And that's what we want to be able to do, is we want to be able to open up that you can do almost anything. You can become that next version, or the next 7 versions of yourself that feel like you get to be and do and say and live the most epic lifestyle and reality that you get to. I hope this has been helpful today. We are going to dive into goals. Come and follow me over at in Instagram at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching. You can follow me on YouTube at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching, and of course on Facebook, Drive Your Thoughts Coaching. I'm Carrie Marshall, and I will see you next time. Bye.